The overwhelming passage of California's Proposition 50, a constitutional amendment allowing the Democratic-controlled state legislature to temporarily redraw congressional districts, has sent shockwaves through the national political landscape and triggered an immediate, frantic scramble by Republicans. Approved by a decisive margin, the measure represents a major political victory for Governor Gavin Newsom, who championed the initiative as a necessary countermeasure to the rising tide of Republican gerrymandering across the country. This strategic retaliation is projected to directly shift the balance of power in Washington, effectively neutralizing Republican gains made in states like Texas and putting the control of the U.S. House of Representatives in serious jeopardy for the GOP in 2026. Analysis and the reasons for the fight fire with fire. Strategy Proposition 50, dubbed the Election Rigging Response Act by its supporters, was explicitly born out of the national redistricting arms race. The primary reason for its creation was to combat the partisan gerrymander undertaken in Texas, where Republicans, reportedly at the urging of Donald Trump, redrew their state's congressional maps to gain several guaranteed GOP seats. Newsom and California Democrats framed Prop 50 not as a partisan power grab, but as a defensive measure to safeguard national democratic principles against what they termed extremist Republican efforts to tilt the plane. The massive support for the measure, with over 63% of voters approving it, speaks to the high political engagement and deep anti-Trump sentiment within California's overwhelmingly Democratic electorate. Newsom successfully mobilized voters by casting the ballot measure as a response to the former president's national agenda, leveraging the state's political weight to influence Congress. The passage effectively suspends the work of the state's independent redistricting commission until 2030, allowing the legislature to implement maps designed to boost Democratic representation. This political gamble by Newsom, supported by prominent national figures like former President Barack Obama, has paid off handsomely, elevating the California governor's profile as a formidable national Democratic leader with a proven ability to execute high-stakes political plays. Immediate consequences and the legal battle ahead. The most immediate and consequential fallout is the severe threat Prop 50 poses to Republican control of the U.S. House. The new district lines are specifically drawn to flip up to 5 of California's 9 currently Republican-held seats. Incumbents like Darrell Issa, Doug LaMalfa, and Ken Calvert now face significantly tougher re-election bids as their districts absorb more left-leaning urban and suburban voters. The loss of even 3 to 5 seats from California would dramatically complicate the GOP's path to retaining their narrow majority in 2026. In a swift and angry reaction, the California Republican Party, alongside several individual voters, immediately filed a federal lawsuit seeking to block the new maps. Their core legal argument relies on the 14th and 15th Amendments, claiming that the Democrats improperly used race as a factor in drawing the boundaries, specifically to increase the voting power of Latinos, which constitutes unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. They argue the Democrats never demonstrated a legal necessity under the Voting Rights Act to make such changes. Newsom's office has dismissed the challenge with thinly veiled contempt, indicating confidence that the legal maneuvers will ultimately fail, much like previous attempts to derail the measure. Prediction and the search for solutions. The prediction for the immediate future is a protracted legal battle that will likely go through the appellate courts, potentially even reaching the Supreme Court, given the high national stakes and the conservative shift of the judiciary. Democrats, who control the state government, will push hard to implement the new maps ahead of the 2026 election cycle. While the lawsuit introduces uncertainty, the political momentum is currently with Newsom, and the new maps are likely to be used for the next 3 election cycles, 2026, 2028, 2030, unless blocked by a judicial injunction. The long-term implication, however, is concerning. Prop 50, while tactically effective for Democrats, further normalizes the dangerous practice of mid-decade partisan gerrymandering, undermining the very concept of nonpartisan redistricting. The ultimate solution to the current political crisis of map manipulation cannot be retaliation, it must be national reform. This includes adopting nationwide standards for independent, citizen-led redistricting commissions, banning mid-decade map changes unless mandated by a court, and establishing clear federal guidelines to protect community representation without resorting to political machinations. Until a nonpartisan mechanism is universally adopted, the redistricting war and the scramble it causes will remain a defining and corrosive feature of American democracy.